Bad Wolf here, and I have another March Magic Madness deck for you. I've been putting off building this one for a while because it's zombies and they terrify me. But I finally buckled down, did it. I didn't conquer my fear, but I now have a zombie deck. And I'm really proud of myself for that because I really don't, you don't understand. I really don't like zombies at all. So first off, land base. There's only 20 lands. Everything in this deck costs 3 or less except one card, so you don't need very many lands. 20 is a good number to tap. You're good with 20. 11 of those are just basic swamps, but I do include 2 copies of Urborg Tomb of Yawmoth because that card's fun to play with. I don't know why, I just like putting it in my mono black aggro decks, or many of my mono black aggros. I really like playing with it because it's pretty cool, and it makes your fetches and stuff turn into swamps if you don't need to go fetch for them, so that's really nice. Since we're splashing blue, I also include 3 copies of Watery Grave. I like that it comes into play tapped if you don't want to get shocked, or you can just put it into play, shock yourself for 2, and you can have that blue mana when you need it, so that's pretty sweet. And the final 4 lands in this deck are 4 copies of Polluted Delta, just to be able to go get your Watery Graves and have that blue mana when you need it. If you don't have it in your opening hand, is really awesome. And then you can also use it to go get your swamps if you run out of Watery Graves and you need it. So that's cool. And if you don't want to go fetch it and have an Urborg out, you're good. It's golden. It's beautiful. The Undead I've included in this deck is 4 copies of Gravecaller, 1 mana for a 2/1 that you can play from your graveyard if you have a zombie on the field. Is pretty sweet, and since all creatures in here are zombies, you're good. It's awesome. You're pretty much always going to be able to play this card, which is really nice because 2/1's sweet. 2 drops consist of 3 copies of Bone Knitter because regeneration of any zombie is pretty awesome in this deck. I also include 3 copies of Butch Rule because Undying, when having to kill something like twice and it gets a little bigger the second time, is pretty awesome. I really like that mechanic for some weird reason. It's just really cool. And 4 copies of Dreadscape Zombie. Now, this guy has Unearthed, which also is a pretty fun mechanic because you can kind of bring him back, and it's really fun to play with and have to build that into the puzzle you're working on to solve the problem. So that's really fun. But I'm pretty certain that the 3 drops in this deck are my favorite. Like, seriously, these 3 drops, I could play them all day and they're so cool. I have 4 copies of Death Baron, and he pumps everyone up and gives them Death Touch. And if you've watched any of my videos before, you know I love Death Touch. And giving all your zombies Death Touch is pretty awesome and all right in my book. And I'm going to be playing all 4 freaking copies of him because it's sweet. I also include 3 copies of Lord of the Undead because his flavor is just awesome. I felt like he had to be in a zombie deck, you know? Being able to take zombies and raise them from the graveyard and put them back into your hand is really, really cool. And the final creature is the one I'm splashing blue for. It's 4 copies of Digraph Captain. Now, this zombie is the one that terrifies me the most. One, he's a freaking warrior dude, and he's got shield and sword, and I would not want to get in a fight with him because he's a zombie and he's way scary. But he also has Death Touch himself. He gives everything +1/+1, and whenever a zombie dies that you control, you drain your opponent of 1 life. Ugh. It's terrifying. Alright, now for the spells in this deck. Hand Disruption is always a ton of fun to play against your opponent because you really want to be a jerk. It's not as jerky as counter spells, but it's up there on the list. I include 4 full copies of Despise, Duress, and Thoughtseize. I like being a jerk to my opponent and making sure they don't have the resources they need for my mini zombie apocalypse. They're not allowed to have any axes or foods or shotguns or anything. I'm going to take that all away with my Hand Disruption. I also include 2 copies of Zombie Infestation. 1, because that name is awesome. Seriously, Zombie Infestation. It's really cool. And also, it helps if you draw too many lands, or if you're drawing too many of those discard spells, you can use them to create more zombies, because that's really cool. The final card in this deck, though, is, I think, if I get the chance to play this once on camera, it'll be the most amazing thing ever. Because what Lord of the Undead doesn't want to yell, "Empty the pits!" and just have armies of zombies crawl out through cracks and crevices and just, seriously, who doesn't want to do that? I'm just saying. It has to be in here. Seriously, it's just so much flavor and so cool. And there you have it, a terrifying zombie deck that I really, really hope I get to play, because I do not want to face this guy down at all. I may run away screaming like a little girl. But let me know what you think of this deck in the comments below, like this video, and subscribe for more.